What would you do if you had to fight every day to live? What would you do if you knew your children had no one but you? What would you do if you had to fight your worst fear every day? What would you do if you found out you have breast cancer? This is Jessy Carr. She is a low-income single mother who is fighting breast cancer and the system. She had to work through her chemotherapy to support her family. Her surgery was denied for nearly half a year by her insurance, causing her cancer to spread. Now she's fighting the system and wants you to hear the truth.
My name is Jatinder Kaur. I'm from Houston, Texas. I am a breast cancer fighter. I want to tell my story so others can come forward about their stories and so that they can be helped the way I was helped. I'm a single mother. I waited until my son turned 18 to tell the doctors about my cancer because I wanted him to be able to take care of his younger sisters. Because of that, I kept it hidden.
This is Jatinder Kaur. She goes by Jessy. Her world spun out of control when she realized there was a growing lump in her breast. But being a low-income immigrant single mother, she had no one to take care of her 3 young children. She made the choice to wait 3 years before going to the doctor about her breast cancer. Jessy's son was only 15 at the time. He could not even drive yet. Jessy did not want to be pulled away from her children until they were self-sufficient.
Once my son turned 18, the first thing I did was get a doctor's appointment to get checked. And turns out it was what I thought it was. But I was mentally satisfied that even if I had to go to the hospital or go through surgery, Sajan would stay at home to take care of my younger daughters.
Jessy kept her breast cancer a secret from even her children. She feared that if she began treatment, she would become too sick to take care of her children.
I felt a lump in my breast. I started to pay attention to it. Within 3 to 4 months, I noticed it growing. Nobody else should wait that long to get it seen. The moment they feel something, they should be checked immediately. Otherwise, like in my case, things can get so much worse.
At the time she first noticed her lump grow, her children were only 15, 13, and 10. Had Jessy gotten treatment at the first moment she felt her lump, she would have had a 99% chance of survival for the next 5 years. However, because she waited for many years before going to the doctor, her cancer became regionalized, meaning it had spread within the breast tissue. Even then, her survival rate was 84%. For women who wait too long to be seen, their cancer becomes distant, meaning it spreads to other parts of the body. Their 5-year rate of survival drops to only 26%. The earlier you are screened and treated, the higher chance of survival you have.
I didn't tell my kids, but after some time, I knew I would have to tell them the truth because I knew once my chemo started, I would lose my hair after the first treatment. So one day, I sat down with them and told them.
There was something, but we didn't know it was cancer or not. We always told her to check it out because it's not normal to have, but she never did.
She always in her room and touching herself right here. It was getting hard. It was making me touch it too, and she would never get it checked because she wanted to work. Yeah, she was like, look, is there something here? I'm like, yeah, you should get it checked out, but she never did.
It wasn't hurting her or nothing.
Dr. Spiegelman is a physician and general oncologist at the Metro West Medical Center in Framingham, Massachusetts. He is affiliated with Tufts University and the American Society of Oncology and the American Society of Hematology.
Cancer is an unusual term because it really reflects tissues that grow progressively and eventually invade and disseminate throughout the body. A young child once asked me, what's the difference between a wart and a cancer? And I think by asking that question, they get to the essence of cancer, which is a wart is a growth that, just like cancer, continues to grow, but does not invade. And cancer is a tissue, any one of our tissues that grow and invade into a blood vessel or into a lymph vessel, and then metastasizes or actually travels to other parts of our body. The breast cancer issue is an important one because it is the most common cancer of women worldwide.
Jessy's breast cancer was confirmed by a mammogram, which is an X-ray of the breasts. 66.8% of women 40 years of age and over had a mammogram within the past 2 years, according to the CDC. This number should be 100%. Through mammography, they discovered the aggressive tumor and began treatment, which became Jessy's biggest struggle.
People don't give up because of the cancer. They give up because of the chemo treatment. When chemo treatment starts, you don't feel many changes during the first week. But by the second week, you have extreme weakness in your body. And the change is sudden. The effect on me was extremely sudden. The weakness takes over your body without warning.
Chemotherapy drugs work by attaching to both actively dividing cells and resting cells. Chemotherapy drugs stop the division of cells by preventing the cells from making a second copy of the DNA. Other forms of chemotherapy drugs stop the cell from splitting into two separate daughter cells. Cancer cells divide much more rapidly than regular cells, which is why chemotherapy drugs attach to these cells more often. Chemotherapy drugs can also affect normal cells, which can cause side effects.
My hair started falling out in the second week, my nails also. My eyesight became weak and I started to gain weight. By the third treatment, my body was destroyed. After 3 to 4 steps, I felt like sitting down again. 3 steps, then I sat down again for 10 minutes. Then another 3 steps and sitting again for 10 minutes. Walking 10 steps took me half an hour. My immune and digestive system was gone. You get mad at yourself and you wonder if this time will pass or not. You start to question if your doctors are telling you the truth or if they're just trying to give you hope. You ask yourself if there will ever be a time where you'll be normal again. You ask yourself, how could it be that I can't even taste anymore? For 24 hours, that's what you think. You think something is going wrong inside your body.
There are many treatment options and combinations if your cancer is caught at stage 1 or 2, which is early stage. The most common treatment combination at 33% is breast-conserving surgery and radiation therapy. The next most common combination of treatment is at 17%, which is a mastectomy alone. Many women say this is the most hassle-free treatment. The next most common is at 16%, which is a triple combination of breast-conserving surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. This is a harsh combination which Jessy received. The combinations of treatments are less harsh the earlier the cancer is caught.
The benefits of therapy have to be looked at with each separate instance. Certain patients will absolutely benefit a great deal from therapy, such as the patients that have the molecule HER2/neu on them. The Herceptin immune therapies dramatically improve the long-term survival of patients. One of the approaches is that when you get breast cancer, and that might have both estrogen or progesterone markers, you could look at something called an oncotype or gene testing, looking for how beneficial chemotherapy will be. The toxicities of chemotherapy can be very severe, and that includes lowering your blood counts, so you might get infections, bleeding. Hair loss is a major issue. Issues of diarrhea, swelling, burning of the hands and feet are real. They can't be underestimated because it can happen in a very severe fashion.
The hardest part of chemo for me was when my nails came off. It was very painful. It took 2 to 3 months for them to fall off. It was so painful. They would be so sore and bleed. My taste was gone. I could not tell the difference between sweet or sour or salt. To me, food was like eating rubber. The doctors told me to enjoy the food with my eyes, not with my mouth. For an entire year, I could not taste anything. I didn't even feel like looking at my favorite foods because to me, they were nothing. If I ever wanted to go to the Gurudwara temple and kneel to pray, I would not be able to.
So why can't she bend when she goes into the prayer room?
Because a side effect of chemotherapy is that when her legs weaken, and she can't bend.
Jessy could not kneel to pray, which is a major part of her religion. Her cancer affected her ability to perform spiritual rituals.
I can't kneel or bow to pray because I can't bend my legs to pray. My skin turned black. It was like being burned. There was no feeling in my hands. Still, I have no feeling in my hands and feet. Before chemo, my eyesight was almost perfect. Now it feels so weak that I'll need glasses. Every night I fall asleep and forget what I look like now. And when I wake up and look at the mirror, I remember that I don't have any hair. I looked at myself in the mirror every half an hour. Truly, every half an hour. Because I didn't feel like I was looking at myself. My features had changed so much that I became obsessed with looking at myself in the mirror, which was hard because my eyesight was so blurry. I would be inches away from the mirror trying to see myself. Every time I looked, I would see someone else.
She was scared of herself. None of us were, but only her.
The first time I saw her like with no hair like that, I would not like expect that to happen to her.
I mean, it was shocking, but like it was never like anything bad. Like, we could all handle it except her.
She was obviously getting weaker, and she had to like be home resting and taking all her medications.
Then I decided that I would not sit at home and that I would start working again so that my mind would remain occupied. I needed to continue working to financially support my family and my treatments. So even though I could not work well or fast, I would go to work and sit there and talk to others.
Jessy began working again at the Modern Salon. Despite her ongoing chemotherapy treatments, she needed to make enough money to pay for her rent and treatments.
Hi, my name is Long of Modern Salon here in Houston, Texas. When I first hired Jessy, I didn't know she had cancer. And once I found out about it, I just want to help her as much as I could. I do whatever I can to help her financially and mentally. And not only I helping her, everybody here helping her to support her mentally too. She struggled quite a bit. She went to chemo and then she still come back the same day or 2 hours later to work.
I think it was her first surgery.
Yes.
We were just expecting to be in and out surgery, and it got really complicated. Yes. Whenever I went to the hospital, when I seen her, of course I have to tell her, just you look great, but I didn't know what to say because she seemed really, really bad. She went to chemo, and then right after chemo she was at work. Every day she had something else different that she has to struggle, because sometimes it was like the insurance that she had to fight.
If half of Jessy's struggles were the side effects of chemo, the other half was her battle with insurance to get her procedures covered.
There was a time that she was going through that. I mean, I still worked, like my brother and me still worked, and my sister would be home. But like, she'll be home resting, and she will be like still strong. Like, she will still try to go to work and all that, even though we told her not to. But she had to because the rent and all that, and she's by herself, so she needed money, and we tried helping her. Like, my brother will help her out too. I would help her like cook, but I would go to school and work, and then.
When it came time for Jessy's second surgery, insurance denied her surgery for 5 entire months. Doctors feared any remaining cancer may have spread in that time.
The two biggest barriers to diagnosing and preventing death from breast cancer are fear. The second barrier, and possibly the largest, is actually the barrier of the system, which is socioeconomic, and being fearful of the overwhelming cost and difficulty of getting both screening and treatment.
Dr. Spiegelman outlines a popular problem, health according to socioeconomic status. Women are becoming vocal about their struggles with debt and insurance. For example, Paulette Liepart is walking 1,000 miles topless to raise awareness of the medical and financial issues related to breast cancer. Paulette's debt is over $100,000 because she did not have insurance when she was diagnosed. Debt and lack of support continue to cause fear in women like Paulette and Jessy.
This is breast cancer. This is it. Across my chest, the scars.
Often because of financial or domestic issues, women like Paulette and Jessy wait to be treated rather than being screened right away. In Jessy's case, her insurance company also forced a 5-month delay during Jessy's second surgery. If you are treated early when your cancer is localized only, you still have a 98.8% chance of survival. If you wait until your cancer has spread regionally, even then you have an 85.2% chance of survival. However, if you wait too long and your cancer becomes distant, your chance of survival drops to a frightening 26.3%. Do not wait to get yourself screened. Get the mammogram that may save your life and your family.
The deductibles from insurances now are so large to the normal American that everyone is hesitating to buy needed drugs, getting needed screenings or diagnostics if the diagnostics put them at risk for having to pay out of pocket. And I cannot tell you how many patients hold obtaining their drugs due to their co-pays. And they come in severely sick, nauseous, retching after issues such as chemotherapy or other drugs because the co-pays prevented them from accessing enough medicine to use. We have to tell the government, the insurances, that this is a barrier. We need to overcome these barriers or we will not improve our medical system.
My name is Tammy Chambers. My husband and I own a Harris County Smokehouse. I started going to Jessy probably 3 years ago, but it wasn't until she had the battle with cancer that we became extreme, I've got goosebumps, extremely close. She didn't have any hair, and it was a big drastic difference from the last time I had seen her. And then that's when the conversation began that she had breast cancer and all the trials that she was going through just to get her insurance. It was the changeover with the new insurance. Then it was time for surgery, and that's where I came in.
Jessy's second surgery became extremely complicated and stretched out over 10 hours. Jessy was unconscious at that time. Because of the delay in her surgery, when doctors began the operation, they discovered many more tumors than the one they had planned to remove, thus complicating the surgery.
When I saw Jessy that first time after surgery, I've never seen that much body part taken off of somebody. And she didn't know she was getting that much taken off either. It was just more, the cancer was more invasive than she thought it was. And she was in so much pain.
Here we see the pattern of treatment for later stages of cancer. There is a stark difference of treatment options if you wait too long to be screened. The most popular option, at 34%, is a combination of a mastectomy, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. This combination of treatments is by far the most difficult. The second most common treatment combination, at 17%, is breast-conserving surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. Unfortunately, the fourth most common treatment option is no treatment at all, which is when the cancer has progressed so far that it is not possible to begin treatment of any kind.
I guess she didn't even know herself that it was something like that big. She thought it was something really small that could be taken out.
It was like a long treatment of hers. It could have been faster.
Jessy's surgery lasted 10 hours, much longer than had been anticipated. She still could not walk, sit upright, or even use the restroom by herself. Jessy had to get a lumpectomy, in which they found yet more cancerous mass that needed to be removed. Doctors said that the 5-month delay that insurance had caused may have allowed the cancer to spread.
When she had her first surgery, I was extremely shocked how much surgery that they did on her. I had never seen anything like it. I wasn't prepared for it. And the nurse was in there at that time saying that she needed a rocking chair. And so I went home that day and got my son's truck and went around to Goodwill places to try to find a recliner. She didn't even know I was doing it. She was still in the hospital. I had never met her son and didn't know where she lived. And I had his text, and I texted him. I said, I have this rocking chair in my truck for your mom. Are you at home? And he said, absolutely. And the first time I met him, I just went, oh my heavens. It was such a testament for Jessy. He was the most incredible, polite kid. He and I unloaded that rocking chair, put it in the house. She slept in it for probably 4 or 5 months.
Just me and Sajin went outside and brought whatever we needed all the time. And Neha cleans and does work too. Yeah, he used to always be there. Like if I needed something from my mom, Sergeant would come. He was like my second guardian.
What she went through to try to get the surgery scheduled, and her doctors and everybody were trying to jump through hoops, but the red tape, because it was the affordable health care, whatever you want to call it, was just going into place. And I went through many angry times.
5 months ਦਾ wait. I had to wait for 5 months during my second surgery because the insurance was not approving certain doctors. The doctors that were approved by my insurance were not covered in certain hospitals, and some hospitals were covered, but the doctors were not able to do the surgery there. Because of this, I had to wait for 5 months in which the cancer spread.
5 months was lost just trying to get through the red tape of insurance to get surgery scheduled.
The red tape, like especially when it comes to FDA approval, that they feel like they're really on the cusp of some things, but how do they get through that?
One of the things the president did when he asked me to head this up, he gave me the authority over all the federal agencies that have anything to do at all with cancer. And what I promised I would do, I've gone around the country and I've met now with over 200 and almost 300 oncologists, and I'm asking them, what is it you want me to clear the way for? Where are we an impediment? Where's the federal government not being accommodating what you need? I've committed, and I promise before we leave, we will mow down any of the impediments that exist bureaucratically in the federal government that slow up the process.
Red tape is a phrase too common for comfort. Though dedicated officials, such as former Vice President Joe Biden, are working to fund research on cancer cures, the efforts are not enough and not yet beneficial to the average low-income citizen. In cases like Jessy's, the red tape of the healthcare system actually poses a serious threat to health. In her case, insurance denied her surgery 3 times, causing a 5-month delay in which the cancer spread.
She was struggling with her insurance in the beginning. I guess she couldn't have her operation because of the insurance that she had. So she had to keep calling until someone agreed or finally said, yes, we can take it. But it'd take her a while to get her, it kept on getting delayed. She had to go to different doctors. She had to call a lot of people to ask if they know anybody that can help her.
It wasn't handled correctly. I don't feel like the cancer would have spread as much as it did if we hadn't lost those 5 months.
Jessy explains that insurance does not give you any options. You must get your procedures done by approved doctors and approved hospitals. Sometimes the doctors are fully booked, sometimes the hospitals are fully booked, and sometimes the certain doctors that are available are not approved by insurance to operate in a specific hospital.
The whole system, something has to change.
An estimated 184,000 cases of invasive breast cancer were diagnosed last year. I rise today in support of every breast cancer patient who has ever undergone a mastectomy and then told by her insurance company that she has to leave the hospital in 24 hours or less before she has had time to recover. I'm introducing the Breast Cancer Patient Protection Act today. It ensures that after breast cancer surgery, a woman will have 48 hours to recuperate in the hospital, no matter which state she lives in or what insurance coverage she has. But the decision should be made by patient and doctor and not by an insurance company. The last thing any woman should do at this time is to fight with her insurance company. This should not be negotiable.
Rosa DeLauro is a congresswoman representing the 3rd District of Connecticut. She is an advocate for women's health care and has pushed forward numerous bills such as the previously mentioned Breast Cancer Patient Protection Act and the Affordable Health Care Act, which holds insurances responsible for covering costs for medical treatments. As an ovarian cancer survivor, Congresswoman DeLauro understands firsthand the red tape posed by the healthcare system and chooses to oppose these obstacles set forward by the American healthcare system. For women like Jessy, DeLauro's tireless advocacy for suffering women is one of the only hopes for the future of healthcare.
The experience having been diagnosed with cancer for anyone is really very profound because for the first time, at least for me, and the first time in my life, I was face to face with my own mortality.
Government officials such as Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, who recognize the flaws of the system, are few and far between. But there is no denying that insurance companies, whether private or government funded, do their best to avoid covering treatments. Another example from within the government is Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri, who discovered her breast cancer through a regular mammogram. Government officials such as Senator McCaskill serve as a voice to those unheard. After encountering cancer so intimately, Senator McCaskill has spoken out and supported bills such as the Breast Density Bill, the Affordable Care Act, and the Conquer Childhood Cancer Act of 2007.
It was a regular mammogram, and when the radiologist called me into the room and said, you know, we're going to have to take a closer look, and immediately started doing extra diagnostic tests, I was surprised. We all must continue to focus on making sure that we do the research necessary to rid this world of cancer, particularly breast cancer, which is so pervasive.
Jessy's second surgery was not being approved by her insurance. Doctors feared that tiny cancer cells may have been left behind in her first surgery.
A tiny cell means you can't see it with your eyes. But in the 5-month wait, the cancer was everywhere. The doctor said you could see the cancer in many places, but it was not tiny anymore. I had to have 2 surgeries instead of 1 because of it. Had insurance approved me, then this wouldn't have happened.
Don't accept delays because there should be no delays in both surgery, diagnosis, subsequent therapy. That should take priority over any insurance status there is. There are multiple different ways to access the system which we should all know about. One is nurses are probably the true primary caregivers in this society. They actually speak to the patient in knowing their social background almost better, their issues of how to access the system. If you go into a doctor's office, don't assume you have to speak to the doctor to explain your problem. I would actually access a nurse practitioner, a minute clinic. The second is your local community groups. That includes the church, your synagogue, your mosque. They will advocate for you, so go in and speak to them. The third is to go into a government facility if you cannot get easily into any sort of a church or medical facility.
Jessy explains that the insurance companies are not aware of how much a treatment is necessary to the patient or of how much pain the patient is in. She wishes there was a way for her to present herself in front of these insurance companies and force them to look at her, to force them to see that there is a real human being that they are denying. This is an official breast cancer screening guideline chart that poses the recommendations of multiple cancer organizations regarding screening of breast cancer based on age and risk. For women at higher than average risk, the U.S. Preventative Task Force recommends beginning mammograms at age 40. However, more and more cases are emerging with the patient being under 40 years old when the cancer is caught.
40 बहुत late है. 40 is too late. Even age 35 is late. I have seen 20 to 25-year-old girls fighting breast cancer at the hospital. But in America, this isn't approved yet. I'm trying to put an effort to raise awareness so that girls start getting checked early so they don't have any problems in the future.
There is an important issue here, and that is to be aware that your family history, your own personal history, be involved with this. I advocate, because I've seen several patients at a young stage, everyone do self-breast exams, learn them well, and you should know your breast much better than your physician.
Here's the scary thing. We all hear doctors say, get a mammogram when you're 40. But Christina was 36 when she had the double mastectomy that saved her life.
People always say it, early detection. There are women now in their 20s getting breast cancer, and now we're seeing that happening to 18-year-old girls getting breast cancer. I mean, I started getting mammograms at 30, but I remember my doctor said, you know, the mammograms are not working for you because you're too dense, and so we're going to do an MRI, and it was with that MRI that I found cancer years before a mammogram would have. I am a 36-year-old person with breast cancer, and not that many people know that that happens to women my age or women in their 20s. And so this is my opportunity now to go out and fight as hard as I can for early detection. And that's not mammograms, that's MRIs that insurance doesn't pay for, and the gene testing that it doesn't pay for.
An MRI is a magnetic resonance imaging scan, which is a common procedure used by hospitals around the world. MRI uses a strong magnetic field and radio waves to create detailed images of the organs and tissues within the body. This is not covered by Medicare and Medicaid for breast examination. An MRI has no radiation and does not involve any breast compression. Patients with dense breasts do not benefit from a mammogram because the mammogram cannot differentiate between cancer and regular dense mass. One of Jessy's goals is to open the option of MRI screenings to women who are too young or dense to properly benefit from a mammogram. Another screening option is gene testing. The BRCA gene test is a blood test that uses DNA analysis to identify harmful changes in either one of the two breast cancer susceptibility genes, BRCA1 and BRCA2. 50% of the cause of hereditary breast cancer is caused by the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. This test is also not covered by Medicare and Medicaid. Women with either of these gene mutations have an 80% lifetime risk of getting breast cancer and a 40% lifetime risk of ovarian cancer. There are different types of BRCA testing, ranging in cost from $475 to about $4,000. Genetic counselors are helpful in determining what type of testing is necessary. Gene testing is covered by the Affordable Care Act only if the patient has been proven to be at high risk. It is not covered as a part of early screening for younger women.
I am scared for my own children that insurance will not want to cover the cost to get my daughter screened at an early age. But I will keep fighting to get them screened early.
After her 4 surgeries and intense chemo treatment, Jessy still had to undergo 34 radiation treatments.
Chemo is very hard treatment. Getting radiation after going through chemotherapy feels like nothing. It's like a piece of cake. Even those who have been through chemo don't have anything to fear in life at all. Chemo is so hard that no medicine, no injection, nothing is ever as bad as the chemo. In the radiation therapy, your skin gets burned, but there is no pain. You can treat the burns with medicine.
Doctors told her that eating fresh organic juice every day, such as carrot juice, can help the patient maintain her health. However, Jessy argues that this isn't an attainable solution for low-income working women such as herself. She urges the government to create a program to help current cancer patients. Currently, the government mainly focuses on cancer research and awareness.
पैसा उन्हां लोकां वास्ते बचाना चाहिए जेडे ऑलरेडी इस लाइन तो गुजर रहे हैं. It's lot of money, lot of you have to eat good food, but it's very hard to eat like organic food every day. It's costly.
Issues such as dietary issues, alcohol, may well be a much higher risk than initially thought of. It appears that weight or a high body mass index may well put the patient in a protective mode when they're young, but after menopause put them into a risky mode. Weight gain does increase the risk after menopause of breast cancer.
Rural Chinese women like Mao have the lowest rates in the world. She eats mostly rice and vegetables, little meat, little fat, which lowers her risk. A healthy weight and exercise lower it more, and heaven knows her days are filled with exercise. But if Chinese women like Mao move to the United States, studies show that within a generation, her daughters would have the same risk as an American woman, the highest risk in the world.
Even though Asian women have the lowest risk of breast cancer in the world, once they immigrate to America, their risk increases to the amount of an American woman, which is the highest risk in the world. You are not immune to the risks of breast cancer. Your daughters are not immune to the risks of breast cancer.
The study that is really vexing is the study on nurses who have shifts that are at night. If the shift is at night, there's an increased risk of breast cancer
Another population has an intriguing and more mysterious protection. Debbie Deo Howe has it. It's because she's blind from birth.
Be easy, accessible.
Why would that protect against breast cancer? Because no light has ever reached her retina, her sleep hormone melatonin is incredibly regular in its cycle. Not so in women who do overnight work or have a crazy sleep schedule. Some studies link a melatonin level like Debbie's to lower risk of breast cancer.
Low-income women have to work variable shifts. This means their hormone melatonin is not regular. Because of night shifts or nighttime work, low-income women are more prone to breast cancer. Jessy says that it is impossible for a single working mother to maintain her health, pay her rent, and pay for any out-of-pocket treatment costs, all while battling cancer currently. Her wish is that the government create programs for current cancer fighters that helps them pay for their bills, helps them pay for organic fresh food, and helps them in their physical recovery process.
The hardest thing is maintaining a healthy diet while paying for insurance.
I wish I have a good insurance or I have a lot of money like Angelina Jolie. So I can do whatever I want to do. But I don't have a good insurance, so it's hard. It's very hard. But Angelina Jolie
Celebrities such as Angelina Jolie represent hope and an idol to look up to. The lower-income women such as Jessy do not benefit from the example of Angelina's recovery because they come from opposite factions of life. Celebrities have much better insurance options and therefore get the best access to doctors, timing, hospitals, and medication. Lower-income women should be given the same speedy treatments as higher-income women. One of Jessy's recent revelations was that she has met with many other survivors of breast cancer who chose to get a double mastectomy immediately upon learning of their breast tumors. A double mastectomy is when both breasts are removed. Jessy wishes that she too had simply gotten both breasts removed in the first place. Patients who get a double mastectomy at an early stage do not typically require chemotherapy and never have to concern themselves with the thought of breast cancer again. At the time, Jessy was given a lumpectomy, which is when only the specific cancerous lumps are removed from the breast. However, because of the lateness of the decision, Jessy, even up until this date, is continuing to use a low-dose chemotherapy medication to keep any remaining cancer at bay and has to constantly be monitored for any new cancerous spots.
We don't have a choice. I wish they can find a good medicine only for cancer.
We're turning the corner to a less toxic and much more targeted and effective means with identifying the genes, identifying blockers of the proteins those genes make, and they seem to be effective. The tumors are able to block the immune system from killing them. And the new approach is to identify the molecules on these tumors that are blocking the immune system and then subsequently block the blockers, the checkpoints.
A vaccine. Yes, scientists are at work on vaccines against breast cancer. They're being tested here at Walter Reed Medical Center, part of an international trial, giving experimental breast cancer vaccines to women who are already survivors. What have you seen so far?
From our early studies, we really observed that they cut the recurrence risk in half.
In half. It works like any vaccine works, delivering a small protein found in cancers so the immune system can learn to respond to it and kill off cancer cells. If this works, the hope is to eventually come up with a vaccine to prevent breast cancer in the first place.
There is hope for the future. For that, Jessy is thankful. However, until the breast cancer cure comes about, Jessy relies on hope and support from those around her.
My friend, who is a millionaire, comes and sits here, in my little house, here on my sofa. She prayed for me in the hospital. One night, when I was in pain in the hospital, she texted me, asking if I was asleep. I started crying. I told her I couldn't sleep. I was in too much pain. She told me to put the speaker on, and she sang me prayers until I fell asleep. She brought food for my children while I was in the hospital. She told me not to worry about food. She would keep coming to my house and drop the food over and over again.
She had like really good friends that came to support her like every day.
Prayers are what got Jessy through her difficult times. Jessy is thankful to all those who prayed for her. However, Jessy notes that a lot of the support came from people who were of different cultures rather than her own. Jessy mentioned that there were not a lot of Indian-based support groups near her. There were other groups, such as Chinese, Hispanic, and African American.
Ethnicity becomes important, and socioeconomic issues become important then, because we do find that in the Asian communities and some of the African American communities, the staging is caught at a higher stage, and therefore the death rate, especially well defined with African American patients, has been higher.
Jessy believes that there should be more Indian groups available for women in America who can only speak Indian languages. She says support groups empower women to continue working and living their lives even through the battle.
Yeah, like Mama said, like stop being mad. We all did. We didn't even care no more. We just be happy.
I used to get angry very quickly. Now I just laugh. When someone gets upset or mad, I just laugh. I used to feel it a lot more, but now I don't. Cancer is in everybody's body already. The immune system gets weak and the cancer cells start growing. So I don't think about this. Each day that goes by is a good day.
She never lost her faith. She always said that there's a reason why God put me through this. It's because He's going to show me something.
God has showed me that friends and family members are worth so much more than material things like money. You should go after family, not money. When I got ill, any money that I had ever saved completely vanished. It was all gone. Even then, I survived 2 years without any money. I introduced you before to my friends who fought this battle with me. They were with me 24 hours every day. They would go to the hospital with me and drive me back home. They would make food for me. They are not from my own Indian community, they are American people. But they chose to make it their life's work that whenever someone needs help, they will help that person. When I asked them how I can repay them, they said, when another woman in your life is in this position, give her the same help we gave you. They have created a chain of help. They have now added me into that chain of goodness. I always thought my mom or my dad or my brother would be the ones to help me. But they are so far away, in India. They can't do anything but call me. But people that weren't even on my list were the ones who stood by me and supported me. Once at a red light, there was a homeless man. Tanya was young at the time. She asked if we could give him some money. At that time, I probably only had $10 or $11. Tanya reached into my purse and she grabbed the money, not knowing if it was the $1 or the $10 bill. And she gave the whole $10 bill to the homeless man. And I said, that's all I had, but okay. Now it's gone and that's fine. If God wants me to give all that I have today, so be it. We were actually going into the Gurudwara. On the way back home from the temple, I got a call from one of my clients from the salon asking if she could come in later that day because she had an event. I had never worked on a Sunday in my entire life, but on that day, I said yes. It took me a total of 30 minutes and I got triple the money from the client than what I had given to the homeless man.
I see her like going to work, like she walks more, she can go out, she does eat like a lot more because before she couldn't like taste and now she can. So yeah, I mean it's getting better and her hair is going back. She is a different person.
Now I can taste a lot. I know the difference between salt and sour and sweet. Once the treatment finished, a lot of my energy came back. My nails and my hair came back. I feel better.
Today, I hadn't seen her in probably 4 weeks or so, and today seeing her, she had been real swollen, not even looking like herself. And but today she is really, really starting to look like the Jessy I remember 3 years ago. And so the journey, and it was a long journey. I mean, now that we're through the worst part of it, it's just hard to even remember how long it was now that we're on this side.
I've just started exercising again. I work on my legs.
Jessy has started to exercise again after almost a year of being unable to move normally. Her life is returning to normality. If upcoming results are positive, Jessy can finally be titled a cancer survivor. Jessy always pushed through her battles thanks to her supporters. Even through her chemotherapy, she worked, she danced, and gave her children opportunities to enjoy. For example, in November 2014, Jessy was on a high-dose chemotherapy treatment. Even through her pains, she drove her daughters Neha and Tanya up to 2 hours away so they would get the chance to be featured as actors in Pinky Paris's music video Mendi. Her incredible motivation to allow her children to lead happy, normal lives shows the true inner strength of a mother and a warrior.
If something happened at home and I went through a little, problem, I always, whenever I come to work and seeing her, that she goes to chemo and then come to work after chemo like nothing happened, being really strong, anything that will go on with me is nothing compared to whatever she was going. So I think she inspired more than one people.
I have so many people working for us, all walk of life, all ages. And sometimes they have a little cough, they have a little cold, they call in sick, okay? But Jessy is different. Jessy is beyond human. She is something else. She has surgery in the morning or went through chemo in the morning and a few hours later she was at work. I haven't seen anybody like this ever in my life. The client that knew that she had cancer, I think they come back and they help her even more. They come in more often.
Hopefully my strength will come back and I'll be able to fully bow at the temple. Now I have life in me. Remember that day? I wasn't able to see. That's how watery my eyes were. I was sitting with Danu. I couldn't even see. I was sitting there, fuming that I wasn't able to see her. But now I can see everything clearly.
Always pray and
you have to always push yourself that this is temporary, that slowly everything will be okay. I'm saying this now because I'm feeling better now. But if I think about last year, it was incredibly hard. Each minute was hard. I thought that my doctors were lying to me, that I'd be okay.
We are going to fundamentally change the face of cancer. It's going to become a chronic disease, and we're going to cure a hell of a lot of it that's not chronic.
For the loved ones we've all lost, for the families that we can still save, let's make America the country that cures cancer once and for all.
There is hope for the future through change in the healthcare system and through breakthroughs in cancer research. Jessy has not yet gotten the port in her breast surgically removed, which means she is not yet a breast cancer survivor. In 2017, Jessy will get yet more biopsies of areas that were spotted to be potentially cancerous in her lungs through an MRI. However, Jessy is confident that these spots are scar tissue rather than tumors. Jessy is still on a low-dose chemotherapy medication, but it is not as intense or powerful as the one she received before through IV in previous years. Jessy's journey has enlightened her and those around her. Though her journey has not come to a formal end, Jessy and her family are hopeful that the future will be bright. Jessy's motivation to live and protect her children serves as an inspiration to all women fighting against cancer. Jessy hopes her story will help others navigate an incredibly difficult time. She also aims to lower the age of breast cancer screening for patients with Medicaid and include the option of MRI as a screening tool. Currently, Medicaid states that mammograms to screen for breast cancer are only available to women over the age of 40. For women under 40, only one baseline mammogram is covered. Only one mammogram is covered per full year for any woman under Medicaid. More and more cases emerge each year where young women have breast cancer. The current system does not allow younger patients to be seen or screened easily while being covered by Medicaid. Jessy's awful experience with insurance has left her more motivated than ever to create a real change in the way Medicare and Medicaid handle complex cases. Go to change.org/IStandWithJessy to help women like Jessy get early access to cancer screenings through mammograms, gene testing, and MRI. Join us by signing this petition to demand legislation dismantling the current barriers for low-income women trying to access health care. Every woman's health is affected by the barriers put forth by Medicare and Medicaid, including the women in your life. Use the hashtag #IStandWithJessy to share your story and show your support. Talk to each other about your risk of breast cancer and how you can overcome the stigma related to cancer in your group or culture. We live in a time where the healthcare system is so faulty that it puts millions of low-income individuals at risk. In such times, it is up to the public to speak out, and for officials such as former Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Claire McCaskill, and Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro to take the lead and challenge the system. Jessy is a firm believer in women helping other women. She encourages everyone listening to get screened and help each other navigate the healthcare system.
Now I feel quite good. My radiation is finished. My chemo is on a low dose now. My surgeries are almost complete also. I only have one left. I gave some of my tests last week. I pray that the results will come back in my favor. If they come back with good results, I will have my last surgery to remove my port. Then I can finally say, I am a cancer survivor.
फिर मैं कह सकती हूँ I'm a cancer survivor.